Ted Bundy, real name Theodore Cowell, was born in Burlington, Vermont in 1946 in Elizabeth Lund Home for Unwed Mothers. Growing up in his household, Bundy had to believe that his own mother was his sister for much of his early life. According to Bundy, he had a very uneventful childhood in his life. Closer research revealed that he was very socially awkward as a kid who often crossed the lines of propriety, morality, and legality. Examiners want to think that his crimes started out when he was an adolescent. During Bundy's adulthood, he went to several different colleges, including the University of Puget Sound. He was enrolled here in 1965 for only 1 year right after high school. Temple University. He was only enrolled in the school for 1 semester because he was visiting his family in Philadelphia. 1969. Then he enrolled in the University of Washington, graduating with a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology in 1972. Apparently, he met the true crime writer Anne Rule during this period. After UW, he then moved on to the University of Puget Sound School of Law in 1973, and was accepted because of his strong letters of recommendation from political figures. He dropped out only after a year because of his suffering academic performances, due to him skipping classes. In 1974, Bundy transferred to the University of Utah, but dropped out once again. This period is when his murder spree started to escalate. Louise Cowell and Johnny Bundy were Ted's biological parents, yet Johnny was never around, so Ted never really knew him. Ted had no siblings but grew up most of his life thinking Louise was his sister. Ted was also told that his grandparents, Samuel Cowell and Eleanor Longstreet, were his actual parents during his childhood. Ted Bundy felt betrayed after finding out that his parents/sister who weren't who they said they were. This left Bundy without a sense of his own identity/belonging. Bundy's aggression toward women came from his own grandfather, as he was known for beating his wife, and his own daughter as well. As a young child, Bundy would often be seen placing kitchen knives near his aunt while she was sleeping, and during his teenage years he got into petty theft and voyeurism.
Ted Bundy committed a spree of kidnapping young women, raping them, and then killing them between 1974 and 1978. Ted Bundy would commit his crimes at victims' residencies and in remote areas inside of his car. Bundy would usually use deception and manipulation to get his victims to trust him. Once Bundy had earned their trust, he would bring them into his car, which he would then attempt to kidnap the victim before going to a secluded location to kill them. Many of Bundy's victims were young girls that had long hair with a part in the middle. Bundy would commit his first confirmed murder on February 1, 1974, and would continue this spree of murders until his first capture on August 16, 1975. From here, Bundy would escape from custody on June 7, 1977 and December 30, 1977. This would lead Bundy on another murder spree in Florida until his final capture on February 15, 1978. Bundy would commit his first confirmed murder on February 1, 1974, and would continue this spree of murders until his first capture on August 16, 1975. From here, Bundy would escape from custody on June 7, 1977 and December 30, 1977. This would lead Bundy on another murder spree in Florida until his final capture on February 15, 1978. Bundy would start his murder spree with organized and planned attacks on his victims. This would change over time as he was increasingly being sought out by law enforcement and his previous escapes from custody. Due to this, his crimes would become more erratic and random up until he was caught.
Bundy had many victims, including Linda Ann Healy, aged 22, who would become Bundy's first confirmed victim. Linda was a senior majoring in psychology and was a famous broadcaster. Bundy broke into the basement room of the house where Healy and her roommates stayed at in Washington's University. Another victim includes Donna Gale Manson, who was a 19-year-old woman, was a student at the Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. She was leaving her dorm to attend a concert on campus where she was never seen again, presumably taken by Ted Bundy into his car into a remote location where she was killed. Another victim also includes Suzanne Elaine Rancourt, aged 18. She was a student attending Central Washington State College. Rancourt was leaving a dorm counselor's meeting, and this would be the last time she was seen anywhere alive, as her remains were later found at Taylor Mountain. Bundy's victims were mostly all young, attractive women, usually in their late teens to early 20s. Most of these women were often students at colleges as well. Ted Bundy also had many survivors. Some of these survivors include Carol DeRonch. She escaped Bundy's car after his attempt to kidnap her as a fake cop. Kathy Kleiner Rubin, who was attacked in her sleep at her dorm in Florida State University. She suffered a broken jaw and several facial injuries, but was able to escape when Bundy was startled by a car's headlights shining into the room, causing him to flee the scene. And Elizabeth Klopfer. She was Ted's girlfriend, while not being a victim of his in any way, escaped from him by suspecting of his double life. He lived and wanted to get away from it.
The FBI would be the main agency involved in the investigation of Bundy nationwide, alongside many local police departments that would assist the case during Bundy's murder spree until he was caught. The investigation into Bundy found out that his bite mark had matched the one found on the body of Lisa Levy. This would be one of the main pieces of evidence used to connect Bundy to the Chi Omega murders Bundy committed in Florida. Hair evidence would also be found in a van Bundy had stolen that connected him to the murder of Kimberly Leach. Bundy's tendency to leave the bodies of his victims at remote locations and the lack of communication between local law enforcement would leave authorities stumped on Bundy's location and connection to every murder. Another issue with investigating and prosecuting Bundy would be the two times he would escape from custody. Bundy would escape from custody twice in Colorado, allowing him to continue his crime spree until he was ultimately arrested in Florida.
Ted Bundy had 3 main trials for his crimes. This includes the Utah kidnapping trial in 1976. In this trial, Bundy was found guilty of kidnapping and was sentenced to 1 to 15 years in prison. While serving his sentence, he was moved to Colorado to face murder charges but escaped during this time. After this, his next trial was the Chi Omega murder trial in 1979. This trial used bite mark analysis to match Bundy's unique teeth patterns to bite marks that were on one of his victims. He was also found guilty on the counts of 2 murder charges, 3 attempted murders, and burglary, and was sentenced to 2 death sentences. Then there is the Kimberly Leach trial in 1980, which would be Bundy's last trial. This trial included more cases of kidnapping and the murder of 12-year-old Kimberly Leach. Here as well he was found guilty and received a 3rd death sentence.
Ted Bundy died January 24, 1989, in Bradford County, Florida. Bundy was executed by electric chair. There have been multiple documentaries made that dive deeper into Ted Bundy's life and the crimes he committed as one of the most infamous serial killers in American history.
In the question of whether Ted Bundy was a psychopath or a sociopath, the answer is clear that Ted Bundy is a psychopath. This is due to Ted Bundy showing no empathy or guilt for the harm he did to his victims and their families. This is also due to Ted Bundy being an intelligent person who was well educated and appeared normal on the outside. Bundy would use this to his advantage so he could manipulate his victims to gain their trust before murdering them. Ted Bundy is also a psychopath due to being an organized person, unlike sociopaths that would plan out their crimes in advance to avoid being caught. All of these pieces of evidence support the theory that Ted Bundy was a psychopath instead of a sociopath.